always worried when he's standing right behind me. So I watch him like a hawk. So I wait till he's in full in front of me before I start anything.
You're right, I am considering
Huh?
Huh?
Yes. Whatever you just said, I agree. Maybe. Wow. So yeah, have you ever had, imagine for a moment, and this may not take much for you to imagine, that you've placed all your hopes and dreams and everything into one major event that you knew was going to happen. I don't know, maybe it was a wedding, maybe it was a birthday, maybe it was the visiting of Santa Claus or something like that, and you've put your hope and everything you have into this one event or one moment that you just knew was going to happen. And you wait up at night and you're sitting there and you're sitting on the edge of your seat waiting, anxious. You start thinking about all the things that could happen when this happens and all those things that could go on when this occurs, and you're just sitting there, and every scenario that could possibly go on in your head, you're waiting, and you just can't wait to see what's going to happen when it comes. And some of us have done that when sitting out our chimneys waiting for Santa Claus to come down the chimney. You just know he's going to come, and you fall asleep. Or you just know that you sent off to get the toy out of the cereal box. You've saved up all your box top lids and all these things, and you mail it off, and you wait, and you're checking the mailbox every day. You come by the mailbox, look, not there yet. You sit there, you know when the mailman's coming, and you know every day he comes in at 10:30, so at 10:15 you're sitting there watching on your days off, and you wait, and you put something in the mailbox, you open it up, check, still not there yet. What happens when what you were expecting to happen either A, doesn't happen, or B, doesn't happen the way you wanted it to? Then all your hopes, you're crushed, right? Shattered. Your reason for living totally changes. And some people don't have a reason to live anymore. So they end up taking their lives or just living in a deep, dark depression. I can't prove this, but that's kind of what some people are going through today. Started going through yesterday. Because they knew that Jesus was coming back yesterday, right? They knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that Jesus Christ was going to return. The rapture was happening. We all were going to be taken away. And the church is going to be living with Jesus, partying down in heaven on the streets of gold next to the Crystal Sea. We're having a barbecue at the Crystal Sea tomorrow. At least that's what they thought. I heard on the news, or I've heard of people having suicide watches at bridges. Cops are patrolling the neighborhood, waiting to see what was going to happen. There's looting raids planned. Some people have thought about looting radio stations. I'm not going to name any names, but he's sitting in the back of the room.
No, not.
Okay, and in the front of the room. There are people who have placed all their hope in this one event. When it doesn't happen, what do they have left? Well, we're talking about living as the left behind. Living as the left behind. God has put us on this planet, in this place, in our certain situation for a purpose. And not just one purpose, many purposes. God doesn't have just one purpose for the things that happen in your lives. Because it really kills me when something happens and people say, well, God has a purpose in this. Well, maybe he has one purpose in it, but I think God, we can't say just our huge, eternal God has one purpose for something. But he has multiple purposes for it. Because it'll always come back and show you how it fits in your life, or how it's changed your life, or how it's affected your life and the lives of those around you, and the snowball effect continues. But we're talking about hope today. Because one of the key ingredients of living on this world, living on this planet, living this life, is having hope. What is hope? It's a wish. I hope things get better. I wish that things will get better. That's one step above that. It's more than just a simple wish. Because I can hope that I can hope that I can win a new car next week. That's more of a wish than a hope. But I can hope to have dinner tonight and have a good dinner tonight. And that's even better, because that's a hope, that's a wish with an affirmed promise. That's a wish that has a promise connected to it, that's saying, I am going to get something to eat tonight, and it's going to be good. I am going to have salvation with Jesus. Jesus is coming back, and I know it is. I just don't know when it is. So 1 Peter, we'll start with chapter 1. Give you a little background here. We know who Peter is, right? First, if you don't know who St. Peter is, let me tell you a little bit about him. He's the loud-mouthed, over-anxious apostle of God. He jumps the gun on a lot of things. He cuts people's ears off.
Oh, wait.
He's full of faith. He walks on water because he sees Jesus walking out on the water. He says, if that's you, Jesus, then I want to come out there. It's like, well, come on out. And he steps on the water and he walks. And then he looks down and he starts to sink because he gets afraid. He's also the guy who said, Jesus, I will never deny you. If everybody else falls away, I will remain true. And in 3 different times when Jesus was being crucified, he said, I never knew the man. To the point of cussing and saying, I never knew the man. That's St. Peter. But he's also the guy who stood up in Acts chapter 2 and preached to an entire city of people, telling them the gospel of Jesus Christ, telling them about the fact that this has been the promise that we've been expecting. This is the promise of God, that the Spirit of God has been poured out on all mankind, on all flesh. God is here. And has the most successful evangelism campaign ever, because 3,000 to 5,000 people were added to their number a day. Now, Billy Graham has numbers like that, but before then, he was the first most successful evangelist ever.